Ladies and gentlemen, it all started on a quiet Tuesday morning aboard Flight 728 from Atlanta to San Diego. The cabin lights dimmed, the hum of the engine steady, and passengers settling in for the long journey west. Among them sat Harold and Lillian Turner, an elderly black couple in their 70s, nestled together in seats 17A and 17B. Married for over 50 years, they had never flown before. This trip was special. It was their first flight, taken to attend their granddaughter's graduation from medical school. For them, it wasn't just a journey across the country. It was the culmination of everything they had ever worked for, every sacrifice made, every prayer whispered. But what should have been a joyful and historic day in their lives turned into a moment they would never forget for all the wrong reasons. About an hour into the flight, Harold began to feel lightheaded. His wife, Lillian, noticed his hands trembling slightly. She gently pressed the call button above their seats. After several minutes, a flight attendant approached. Her name tag read Marla. She was tall, with sharp features, and a professional but distant demeanor. Lillian smiled politely and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, my husband's diabetic. He needs some water, please." Marla didn't return the smile. She sighed, glancing down the aisle before responding flatly, "We'll be doing beverage service in 30 minutes. He'll have to wait." Lillian blinked. "But it's a medical condition. He really needs it now." "I said he'll have to wait," Marla replied, her tone cool and final, before turning and walking away. The people seated nearby overheard the exchange. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others exchanged uncertain glances. No one said anything. Harold looked at his wife, eyes glazed, lips dry. "I'm okay," he muttered weakly, but Lillian could see he wasn't. She stood up, clutching her purse, and walked to the back of the plane to plead for a bottle of water. But when she reached the galley, Marla was there again. "I already told you, sit down." "But he's sick." "Please," Lillian begged, her voice cracking. "I'm not asking for anything special. Just a little kindness." Marla crossed her arms. "It's not personal. You're not the only ones on this flight." The moment hung in the air, silent, tense, painful. Then something happened. A young woman, seat 19C, stood up. Her name was Kayla Rodriguez, a nursing student on her way back to school. She had been watching the whole thing. Without hesitation, she approached the galley and said, "I don't know the rules, but this doesn't feel right. He's having a medical issue. If you won't help, I will." Marla looked irritated. "You need to return to your seat." But Kayla didn't back down. She turned to the other passengers and raised her voice slightly, "Can someone record this, please? This man could be in danger. He just needs water. This shouldn't even be an argument." That was the spark. Other passengers began pulling out their phones. A father with his young son in seat 21D handed Kayla his unopened bottle of water. She thanked him and rushed over to Harold, who was now visibly sweating and breathing shallowly. As she helped him sip the water, his breathing began to steady. Lillian held his hand tightly, tears in her eyes. The cabin was silent, watchful, unified. Soon after, a second flight attendant, who had been unaware of the earlier interaction, rushed over. After quickly assessing the situation, she apologized profusely and brought a medical kit, offering glucose tablets and checking Harold's vitals. She radioed the pilot, who asked if a medical emergency landing was needed, but Harold, now recovering, shook his head. Later, as the flight neared its destination, the captain came over the intercom and addressed the situation. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a moment to commend the bravery and compassion shown by several passengers today. A situation unfolded that should have never happened. As captain, I apologize deeply to Mr. and Mrs. Turner for the distress caused. We will be reporting the incident to our management team for a full review." When the plane landed, passengers remained seated to allow Harold and Lillian to disembark first. As they walked down the aisle, people stood up and clapped, not just for them, but for resilience, for standing up for what's right. Later that week, a video from the flight went viral. The story exploded across social media. "Elderly black couple denied water, saved by fellow passengers," the headlines read. The airline issued a formal apology and placed the flight attendant on administrative leave pending an investigation. But something more powerful happened in the aftermath. Kayla Rodriguez, the nursing student, was contacted by dozens of hospitals offering her internship opportunities. She later shared in an interview, "I didn't do it for attention. I did it because it was right." Sometimes, silence is the loudest betrayal. As for Harold and Lillian, they made it to their granddaughter's graduation, where they watched her receive her degree as Dr. Simone Turner. In her valedictorian speech, Simone said, "I owe this day to my grandparents, who taught me to rise with dignity even when the world tries to keep you seated." The message: one act of courage can shatter a wall of indifference. One voice raised can awaken hundreds. And no matter your age, your skin, or your story, you deserve to be treated with basic human decency. Because kindness isn't a luxury. It's a right.